The Epstein case today, for the third time, a federal court has declined to release grand jury information related to the dead sex offender and his convicted co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. In this latest ruling, New York District Judge Richard Berman calls the government request a, quote, diversion. He writes that the grand jury material would add little or nothing new and notes that it is dwarfed, his word, dwarfed by what the Justice Department already has if it's ever released. Today, Sky and Amanda Roberts, the brother and sister-in-law of the late Epstein survivor Virginia Giuffre, posted a statement praising Judge Berman's decision and adding this: "It is our strong belief that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein did not act alone, and the DOJ is fully aware of this fact. We call for full transparency from the administration and insist that the DOJ release all documents related to this case." After years of fighting for justice and working as an advocate for sex trafficking survivors, Virginia Giuffre died by suicide in April. Her family at the time said she was the light that lifted so many survivors. I spoke with Amanda and Sky Roberts yesterday. Sky and Amanda, thank you both for joining us tonight. Sky, we learned that the House Oversight Committee intends to make some Epstein files public with redactions to protect victims' identities after they start receiving materials from the Department of Justice on Friday. I'm wondering what you make of that, and do you trust that this will provide some kind of transparency that you've been calling for?
Yeah. First, Anderson, thank you so much for having us tonight. It really means a lot to us. I would say that certainly it seems as though it is movement in the right direction. And I do want to actually thank Representative Comer for actually making sure that the survivors' information is redacted. That's definitely a concern of ours. On the same hand, we're very wary that this may be just another move of the Department of Justice, right? Where they're saying they're going to do one thing, but then their actions are showing a completely different thing. And so to kind of leak these documents where people are implicated that are heavily, redacted, one time at another, that's not really full transparency.
Are you both concerned that the third-party names who were complicit in Epstein and Maxwell's crimes may also have their names redacted?
Yeah.
Yes, I think unequivocally yes. We are very concerned that the names that are implied in it. I think it's important that we protect survivors, that the names redacted for the survivors are for the utmost protection. But, let's be clear, the people that are involved in this and that are in these files are monsters, they're predators, they're people that have created sexual abuse against young women, children. And so, no, their names should not be redacted out of these files. I think it's important that they are held to the highest form of law and justice, and that's what people are looking for.
Virginia fought for transparency, for accountability for a long time. I know, Amanda, you've said she even called for the release of documents in one of your last conversations with her. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's her legacy, right? It wasn't just the exposure, but then beyond exposure is accountability. And one of our very last conversations, she told me, like, my files are sitting at the Southern District Courts right now, waiting to be unsealed. And that was her fight. And that is the fight of all survivors, right? Let's expose these monsters and hold them accountable.
Sky, when you heard about the transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell, I'm wondering what went through your mind?
I'm not quite sure why why we continue to negotiate with somebody who is a known perjurer, as well as someone who sex trafficked and was convicted of sex trafficking children. And so for her to be put up in what I would call it a posh prison, a minimum security prison, is an insult. And quite frankly, it absolutely shows that there's some sort of negotiation going on. I mean, let's be real. Anderson, we're not stupid, right? I mean, people are smart here. I think you can see between the lines that there's some type of negotiation going on. And so, you know, for her to just moments after speaking to the Department of Justice to be transferred to a prison that would again be labeled to me as a posh prison would be, and it's an insult. And so she needs to be immediately transferred back to a maximum security prison, held to the highest standards. And I think the last part and the last point here is that, you know, President Trump himself stated that people that have sex trafficked across borders should be held to the harshest penalties. And yet we're seeing the exact opposite right now in the sense that she's being transferred to a minimum security prison, which I'll just state as the Real Housewives prison. So it's an insult to us. It's an insult to survivors. And she should be immediately transferred back to a maximum security prison.
Sky, I want to just ask you, and if it's too personal, you don't have to answer, but you're emotional, and I understand that. And I'm wondering, I mean, this is really hard. You know, people appear on TV and talking about this stuff, and people at home kind of think, okay, you're another person appearing on television. This is your sister. Virginia is your sister and is your sister. And this is hard. I mean, the emotion of this, even though this has been going on for a long time, it's got to be extraordinarily hard for you.
Yeah. I think it's important. I'll crack a quick joke in that I'm the crier of the family. So,
so am I, it turns out, actually. So,
well, good. We have something in common.
I didn't cry until I was like
Great.
50, and now I can't stop. So,
I want to show it as a sign of strength, though, in the strength that she had, and the amazing person that she was, and still is. She fought for so many survivors out there, and you know, I think if she were with us today, I mean, she'd be screaming, Anderson. She'd be screaming from a mountaintop, you know, and you know, yeah, we're still dealing with grief. I think that's important to know is that this just happened in April. Okay. We're not far removed. And, you know, immediately, obvious, you know, there's this spotlight on the current situation, which really, to me, feels like an injustice because all we're asking these people to do is the right thing. That's all that she ever asked for was just to do the right thing. So yeah, I'm a little emotional about it. I've been emotional about it, but it's for all the right reasons. And because we're asking for one simple thing, which is accountability, I think the survivors deserve that. My sister deserved that. And she'd be screaming that from a mountaintop right now.
what more do you want people to know about your sister, Amanda, about your sister-in-law?
Wow. I think everyone sees her as like this strong, fierce lion, and she was that. And she was formidable, and she fought every day of her life to survive everything that she had gone through and that she was still going through. But man, she was joy. She was someone that could come into the room and just light it up and instantly give you strength and power and love. And her capacity for love was just outstanding after everything that she had gone through in her life.
Jeffrey Epstein didn't take that away from her.
No.
No. She was still ready to fight this fight. She was proud of what she did with her survivor sisters. She, you know, she was ready to keep the battle going if she needed to. She still has battles going on, you know, as Amanda mentioned, in the Southern District's courts to release her own files. And I think at the end of the day, you know, what my sister wanted and what I believe a lot of, you know, survivors would perceive as justice here would be that, you know, we're looking for accountability. Like it's far removed, Anderson, to say that these people acted alone, right? Epstein and Maxwell did not act alone, whether it was rich and powerful men, whether it was banks or lawyers or doctor, it doesn't matter, right? Like these people deserve to be held accountable. And, you know, it's a known fact now, and it's publicly known that JP Morgan Chase did a multi-million-dollar settlement with survivors because of, you know, potential red flags that they might have missed. And so I think that's what we're asking for, is that anybody that's involved in this to be fully held accountable, that the survivors get the foremost respect, and to redact their names if that's something that they would like to be given to them, but to also not give the additional respect to the people that are involved, that are in the people that basically were implicated in this, and those people should be known, and we should be investigating this to the full extent possible.
Well, Skye and Amanda Roberts, I really appreciate you talking with me tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
you.
Anderson.